I'm going to be talking about my top 3 favorite superhero movies of 2021, the year that just left us. And I'm going to be talking about that right after the intro. This is my first video of 2022. It's not the first one I released in 2022, but this is the first one that I actually recorded in 2022. And that is my top 3 superhero movies of 2021, my top 3 favorite superhero movies. Now, when I give my list like this, and if you pay attention to a lot of my reviews, I don't necessarily consider myself a critic. You know, I kind of come at these movies as how much I enjoyed the movie. I don't look at the movie like I'm evaluating it. Like I don't care much about the film. I don't care much about the cinematography or the craft or the technique or any of that kind of foo-foo bougie kind of stuff that a lot of critics look into when I don't care about all of that stuff. All I care about is, did I enjoy this movie and why did I enjoy this movie? Did I not like this movie and why did I not like this movie? That's all that matters to me. And a lot of my stuff, I just talk about it from that perspective. I don't care about the craft. I don't care about what is technically good or great or trying to be like a professional critique or anything like that. That's not me. So that's where I'm coming from. I had to give you that up front because that's where I'm coming from when I pick my favorite movies. Because if you look at other people's list who are more critical, you know, they may be a little bit different than me, you know. But before I start this off, I want to say that if this is your first time to the channel, I'm D.O. Jones. This is the D.O. Jones Show. I talk about all types of story-related topics, mostly focusing on movies and TV shows, stuff that I like to watch. I'll do reviews, I do episode recaps and reviews, all that kind of stuff. And if you like to see videos about that kind of stuff, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you like this video, wait till you get to the end of the video. Make sure you watch it to the end. And then when you get to the end of the video, if you found that you like this video, go ahead and click the thumbs up. If you don't like this video, click the thumbs down, but click it twice. Make sure you click it 2 times to let me know you really don't like this video. But anyway, I'm gonna start this off. I'm not even gonna start it off with my top 3. I'm gonna start it off with the worst superhero movie of 2021. Now, this is a movie that I actually on my list, I got a folder on my computer where I got a list of topics that I want to make videos of. On that list, I have this movie. I have a folder created of this movie that I was going to create a video for, but I never did it. And this movie, the movie that I consider to be the worst superhero movie of 2021, and that movie is called Thunder Force. It was released on Netflix early 2021. It stars Melissa McCarthy and Octavia Spencer. And it is it's one of those movies where it's sort of like it's not a serious superhero movie. It's more meant to be like a comical superhero movie, kind of almost along the lines of a spoof. Basically, the way this movie is, you have 2 childhood friends, and it kind of shows them as their kids. They're 2 childhood friends, they're best friends, but they kind of go off in different paths. One of them, Octavia Spencer's character, she was like the really smart scientific person, and she kind of pursued that path growing up. And Melissa McCarthy's character, she was like the wild, outgoing partying person, and she kind of pursued that path, and they kind of split off. As adults, they get back together, and you come to find out that that Octavia Spencer's character created some kind of formula that gives people superpowers, and they were going to test it on somebody, but somehow Melissa McCarthy gets the formula, and they both become superheroes, and they go out there and start to fight crime and stuff. And it was comical. It had its moments where it would make you laugh and stuff, but it was kind of just a bad movie, you know? I mean, I wouldn't say it's so bad that you shouldn't watch it, because if you just want something that's mindless, that's kind of comical, that's kind of humorous, that you can just zone out to and have playing in the background while you're, you know, typing up your report or cleaning the kitchen or something like that, this is probably that movie for that. But I just really didn't enjoy this movie all of that much. And so many times I sat down to do a review of this movie, but changed my mind. And that's the movie that I consider to be the worst superhero movie of 2021, and that is Thunder Force. And if you want to watch it, I'll link it up in below. If you want that kind of torture, if you want that kind of punishment, you know, I'll link it up in the description below. It's on Netflix. You can go and check it out if you want. But that's the worst movie of 2021, the worst superhero movie of 2021. But now let's get to what we all came for, to see what I liked in 2021 as far as superhero movies. My top 3 superhero movies of 2021. All right, in 2021, a lot of superhero movies were released. It was not quite a normal year, but a good amount. It was a lot more than 2020. Now, I'm gonna start with the third one on my list. Now, this movie here, it was tough to pick a third one because there were several movies that I kind of could have put in this spot. But in the end, when I was being completely honest with myself, the movie that I picked for number 3 is one that I kind of clearly felt like I had the most fun with out of all of the rest of them that I considered for this spot. And that was Shang-Chi, Marvel Shang-Chi. All right, so Marvel Shang-Chi was a pretty good movie. It stars Simu Liu, Awkwafina, Michelle Yeoh, one of my favorite martial artists actors, Tony Leung. I'm not sure how you say that name. I have to look that up to see if I can get the pronunciation of his name right. But he's awesome, and he was awesome in this movie. And this movie was it was pretty good. It was based on the Shang-Chi character, which is a longtime Marvel character, kind of based on Bruce Lee. The character was kind of created back in the day, and it was based on like a Bruce Lee style character. And Shang-Chi was a movie for Marvel that kind of went a different way than what we're used to seeing. It was kind of shot almost as like a old school kung fu movie, of course, in modern times, and it had some kind of mystical and fantastical effects to it, but it was kind of shot like in that kung fu style, wire fu type of movie, and it was just pretty interesting. It had a lot of action. I had a lot of fun with this movie, and it was just good. If you want, I did a review of this movie if you want to hear my complete thoughts of this movie, I did a review on it. I'll link it up in the description below or up there, you know, whatever, whichever way you can go and find links to things that I post up. But I did a full review. I think you should go check that out because I really enjoyed this movie. And Marvel Shang-Chi, I think they're going to do a lot with this character. It did pretty well in as far as the reviews and ratings, as far as everywhere else. If you check Rotten Tomatoes and all of that kind of stuff, some people didn't like it, but for the most part, most people like this movie, and I really had a lot of fun with it. And that's Marvel Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings, and that was my number 3 movie. Make sure you go check that out. Number 3 on my list is Marvel Shang-Chi. Okay, so number 2 on my list. Now, number 2 is a movie that for most of 2021, this movie was my number 1. And I really had to think about it. As far as this one and the one that I picked for my number 1, I had to go back and forth between which one I enjoyed the most between those two. And this one ended up falling in my number 2, and this is the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. And I know, it's sort of a cheat. It was released in 2021, but it is actually a re-release, a recut version of a movie that was released in previous years. But the Snyder cut is the one that I felt like was my second favorite superhero movie of the year. Now the Snyder cut, I did a review on that too. I'll link that up. Go check that out if you want to hear my full review, my full thoughts on that movie. Now the Snyder cut ended up being a super long version of the Justice League movie that we all saw, you know, a couple years ago, but it fixed a lot of problems. It actually was a good version of that movie. It's so good that I really enjoyed that movie. For most of the year, that was my favorite superhero movie of the year. I mean, there were other movies that I enjoyed, Eternals, Black Widow. I mean, it was okay. I enjoyed Black Widow okay. As far as a movie that really stuck with me, really had an impact on me, that I really enjoyed when I watched this movie, the Snyder cut of Justice League was it. It was released in March 2021, and it was on HBO Max. It was an HBO Max release, and I really enjoyed that movie. Like I said, it was my number 1 for most of the year last year, and it wasn't until I did finally pick the movie that was my number 1 that changed. But the Snyder Cut, Justice League, is number 2, my number 2 favorite superhero movie of 2021. And if you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and check that out. I know it's long. I think it's over 3 hours long. I know it's long, but it's worth it. It is even if you saw the first one and didn't like it, which that was me, this one really did redeem everything for me as far as my feelings on the first version of the Justice League movie. And it's my number 2. So that's Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut, released March 2021 on HBO Max. Go check that out. And that was my number 2. All right, so the number 1 movie, my number 1 most favorite superhero movie of 2021. For a lot of you, I'm guessing if you're looking at this and you're trying to guess, there's probably 2 movies that you can choose between. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while and you've seen my other reviews, out of those 2 movies, you could pretty much narrow down that the one movie is not going to be it. And that one that's not going to be it is The Suicide Squad. I know everybody loved The Suicide Squad. It's like a darling of every critic and every viewer out there. Me personally, I didn't like that movie. I did my review on it. You can go and check that out if you want to hear my thoughts on it. I've watched it again since then, thinking I would change my mind. And I kind of still feel the same way. I do like the Peacemaker show that just released, but the Suicide Squad movie, I didn't really care for that movie that much. So knowing that that's not the one that's going to be my number 1, you can pretty much guess that my number 1 superhero movie of 2021 was Spider-Man No Way Home. It's a no-brainer. That was absolutely the best movie of 2021, the best superhero movie of 2021 by far. The only thing that came close was the Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, those 2 kind of went neck and neck for me. I had to really think about it. Did I like one more than the other? And at the end of the day, I did enjoy Spider-Man No Way Home more than the Zack Snyder Justice League cut, or Justice League Zack Snyder cut, whichever way you want to say it. So Spider-Man No Way Home was so much fun. It had so many surprises. I'm not going to spoil them here because if you haven't seen it yet, where have you been? Why haven't you seen it yet? It's like half the country has now had COVID because they went out and saw this movie. No, I'm joking. But anyway, so many people saw this movie. It broke box office records and stuff like that. But still, I'm not going to spoil it because for the small chance that you're one of the people that haven't seen this movie yet, I don't want to spoil it for you because a lot of what makes this movie good is the things that are also spoilers. A lot of the cameos and the surprises and secrets and stuff like that. But it was just a fun movie, It was a fun movie. I really enjoyed myself in the theater. Check out my review of that movie if you want to hear my full thoughts. But Spider-Man No Way Home, that is my number one superhero movie of 2021. If you want to check out my favorite superhero movies of 2020, the one I recorded last year, I'll put a link to that in the description below. I'm looking forward to a good year. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.